I grew up in farming. That's what I did my whole life, and had an interesting opportunity when I was about 30 when I got into the mortgage business. Which seems like forever ago now. But my how that happened was I bought my first home in my early 20s, and then second one a few years later. And when I was going through that process, my loan officer actually, which was kind of a friend of the family, had said, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing this? About doing getting into lending?" And I kind of laughed it off at the moment because
Selling your soul.
I thought like I kind of chuckled and I was flattered that she would ask, but like never thought that that was something that I would find myself doing. And then and then a couple years later, I was kind of at a crossroads and deciding to make a big change, and just got married, had, and so I was ready to make a change, due to just different circumstances. And so like a completely life pivot, if that's what you want to call it. So I called her back up, out of the blue, and I said, "Hey, is that, you mentioned this to me a couple years ago, is that opportunity still available?" And she was probably surprised, but said, "Yeah, sure." So that's when I made the change. And that was 25 years ago now. And so
25 or
25,
I
it's
think you're like
25th
I
year
think
now.
you're cutting your time. I think it's a little more like 52. But okay.
No, it's 20. Yeah, it's that. So for reference point, everybody remembers where. So if I asked you, Mark, like, where were you on September 11th, like 9/11, like, if you're old enough now, that was like a big, huge, pivotal time in our lives as Americans. And so, like, for a reference point, if you remember where you were on 9/11 or what you were doing on 9/11 when all that happened, I got into the mortgage business a month before. So I had just been trying this out for a few weeks when that happened. So it was at
That's
that time
crazy.
period. I was a broker, a mortgage broker at the time. I'm a mortgage banker now. Um,
You're so
and
fancy.
well, so I started out brokering loans basically. Yeah. So interesting story. So I went into knowing nothing about anything, and so went into a situation that I didn't know was an office that was sort of in the middle of
A crisis.
kind of a crisis, I guess, kind of a split up in things. And so um, I didn't know anything about anything and had no idea what I was doing, but I was going to work every day, and I was working in trying to get started. So I had at the time, like, I kind of still had like a regular day job sort of. So I'd go to work working from 5 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon on a regular day job, go home, clean up, and go in and start working doing loans. Well, I thought I was doing loans. I was sitting at a desk, staring at the phone, and like trying to figure out how to even do this.
Why is business not coming to me?
So yeah, and I had a little bit of mentorship, but didn't know any of the basics about it. And backing up a little bit, so what intrigued me was, if I'm being truthful, I didn't actually get into the business to do what I'm doing now with to do just to straight do financing. I wanted to learn. I kind of geek out on things. I wanted to learn like the nuts and bolts of it all, and how the whole financing things work. And
Are
I
you
wanted
sure? Are you sure it's not the nuts?
to just mostly the bolts. But I wanted to understand like how the whole thing worked, because I didn't necessarily just want to do finance. I wanted to understand it, and I wanted to really do like development and be an investor and develop real estate, and I had a little bit broader scope on what I was kind of aiming for. But so I wanted to understand like how the inner workings of the whole financial system and the whole residential and real estate finance worked in order to do things that I want to do on a broader scale. And so I, like I said, I went to work in an office and was sitting there and trying to like figure out what to do. And my first opportunity I had was, because I didn't have it in a sphere of an influential sphere. I had no real estate relationships with realtors or any type of referral source or anything like that at all. No clientele, no database, no nothing. And so my first opportunity I had was for a refinance, I remember. And so I had a chance to do this refinance, and so didn't even know like how to do one or how to do any of it. So I went to the office I was working in. I didn't even know like what kind of loans there were or what to do with something. So I mean, I had bought a home before, but I didn't. That was just a buyer, and somebody did my loan, and like that was it. I didn't know the differences between them. And so I went to I was working in this office, and I went in the back where the processors were, and I pulled a file, a loan file, like opened a drawer, and pulled a random loan file out of the drawer, thinking like, okay, if I just go get a loan file, I could like look at it and see like what's in there, and maybe I'll do that, or I'll try to copy that. And so, yeah, I'm not kidding. So,
And just for reference too, like how you said that you opened up a file, to this day, you still do that.
paper files, yes.
You still have paper
I do.
files.
Although
You
we're all
still have paper files.
although we're all
believe it or
digital,
not.
I am a dinosaur. Yeah, so we're all digital on things, but yeah, I still do keep actual physical paper files on every active loan that we're working on, because I don't know, it makes me feel comfortable. So I can reference things.
Like yeah, that's why I call you dinosaur, because you still do that.
Still
And
do
it's
that.
like,
Yeah.
Yep. It's just, I guess, unique. Like you don't
See that anymore?
yeah, you don't see that anymore.
It's easier. I feel like, so when these things are complex, and so when you get into a loan file digitally, and there's a million documents in there, and so it's flipping through or finding something or locating something or whatever can take a lot longer. And so I have a physical file, and like I have it sectionized, and so you can like literally, it's here, flip it open, and flip right to the page, or right to what I'm looking for. And it sounds dumb or whatever, but actually sometimes the old way is pretty streamlined. So, and we just, we'll just update it as documents come in and things like that. But we do that still. Yeah.
But do you know that you can have a folder of a file on your computer, and you can
I do have. Yeah. Maybe it makes no sense. Somewhere in there it makes sense to me, but yeah, that's how I do it still. But yeah, so I went and
what do they say? You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, well, right, exactly. So anybody who knows, if you're on the business side of the mortgage business might know what I'm talking about. So I grabbed a file out of a drawer and opened it up and started flipping through it, thinking like, well, maybe I need to get one of these documents from my client, and flipping through, and it looks like I might need a one of these and a one of these or whatever. And I just started thinking like, this is what I don't know how else to do it, and this is what I do. And so like, no, I mean, I didn't really have any coaching or training or anything like that. I didn't even know the difference between loan types.
It's like self-taught. Like you pretty much like just opened up the drawer and like, I'm going to teach myself.
Basically, yeah. So talk about like, how to get it wrong all the way through. Like that was, but that's best I could do to start out was like that. So I start flipping through this file, and half of the documents that were in there, some of them were title, some of them were this and that, and I didn't even know what that was. But so, anything related to the borrower, I thought the buyer borrower, I would get from them, and then figure the rest out along the way. So I started doing that. So that's how I worked on the first one. And like, who knows, that loan file that I grabbed may have been like completely different from what I was trying to do, but whatever.
Did you close?
Yeah, actually, we did close.
So you pulling that paper file, piecing it together, you made it happen.
Well, yeah, sort of, yeah. So I started
no, how
there.
do you sort of make a? No, you did.
I sort of do most things. So what I did was, I did that, and I knew, okay, so I'm gonna do a refinance, and I guess I'm gonna have to we have to do an escrow, just like when you buy a home, there's an escrow. You've got to do an escrow when you refinance. So I was like, okay, so like, I don't know. I called, rando cold called the only escrow company that I knew of, which the name, because it was a Chicago title at the time. I'd seen them on my own loan paperwork or escrow paperwork when I bought a house once. So I just called them out of the blue, like, okay, I'm gonna have to do an escrow, or I'm gonna have to do an escrow for this refinance. Called up, got me routed to an escrow officer, and so she got on the phone and I said, I told her who I was and I said, I have a refinance that I need to do. Can you help me with this? And she's like, yeah, sure. And I said, gave her a bit of the details and I was like, okay, so I want to tell you something. I said, honestly, like I've never done this before. and I don't know, work, go easy on me, please, because I have no idea what I'm doing. This is the first loan. This is the first time I've ever done this before. And she goes quietly, she's like, okay. And she goes, well, if we're being honest, it's my first one too.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And so
you guys learned together.
Crazy learned together. Yeah.
Insane.
So it was literally her first escrow too. And so, oddly enough, as things work out,
that's kind of cool though too, because that doesn't happen. Like that doesn't happen.
It's so super rare, right? Kind of wild, right? So it turns out, yeah. So after that, we built a working relationship there because you don't know anybody, and so every escrow that I had to open, but after that or whatever, I would call her and we worked together a lot. And over the years, and she went on to actually not only be an escrow officer, but she wound up managing and running that escrow office, that title office later.
I know who you're talking
on.
about.
Yeah.
We won't name drop, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Was Chicago Title the only one
at the time?
At the time,
there were about 3 or 4 in town at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, interesting story.
Yeah, it is.